Beautiful place. So we were there on like a long weekend.
Surprise vacation. Yeah.
Actually it was.
You suck!
Actually, I will tell you the big picture, which is we flew into Uray. What state is Uray? Uray, Colorado. And there's a turquoise loop where you go from Uray to Silvertown to Durango to the Four Corners National Park, and then up to Telluride. Anyway, we're in Telluride and we're looking for a walk. And Arlene says, "Okay, I'm willing to do a walk, but I'm not feeling particularly well." Wink, wink. And so I'm willing to do a walk, but I don't want it to be too strenuous, right?
And you're at
I don't want it to be, way up and way down. I don't like. So I do the guy thing.
Right.
We go to a bookstore and I get a topo map. Yeah, right. And the topo map is going to show the amount of grade in each walk. So it's not simply like this, but you can tell by the shading the amount of altitude up or down in the walk. Yeah. So I look at this. So I look at the topo map and I think, okay, I can tell by the grading that it's not going to be. There's going to be an initial downturn. But then there's not going to be too much. It's going to be slight uphill all the way around. Perfect. So it's just not too strenuous, right? And I say, no, this won't be too strenuous. I can tell from the topo map that it's not too strenuous, right? Well, I got the altitude right, but what I forgot to calculate, I don't know how, I forgot to calculate the distance. It seemed like a small loop to me.
Oh, dude. This is not good.
So I say, we're going to get our lunch, we're going to pack our lunch in, we're going to do this one with this one period that has some elevation, but it's downhill, it's like switchbacks down. We're going to get to a lake, we're going to have lunch, and then we're going to continue.
A romantic lunch.
Well, a lunch. And then after lunch, we're going to continue the walk around. It's just a gentle loop, and there's not much topo elevation, right? And it was. We take the switchbacks down, we find this lake, we have a nice lunch. Okay, that's taken about an hour. It should take about an hour to continue the loop. Let's start now. Great, we do. And it's nice weather, so we're wearing shorts and a t-shirt and nothing else. So we start the walk after lunch. It was an hour switchback down, 20 minutes for lunch. About an hour later, I realized we haven't made all that much progress on this loop. And it kind of dawns on me that I did the topo part, but I never actually did the scale part. Like this much represents this much in distance. So I'm realizing that we haven't actually gone that very far on the next hour, so I'm starting to worry just a little bit. Well, the next hour...
Plus the fact that I was starting to bitch like crazy, so
Yeah.
it was like...
So
it was like 3 hours now.
the next hour, what happens is also we don't make that much progress on the scale part, but the other thing that starts happening is it starts drizzling.
Hang on.
And we're wearing shorts and a t-shirt.
I'm here and hang on.
Hang on.
Yeah. And by the way, I should mention, this is still in the relatively early part of the relationship. So, well, after about another hour, what's happened is we've made some progress, but not a great amount. But the other thing is the drizzle has turned to all-out rain. We're walking through weeds that are like this tall, but there's a single track through the weeds. But the other thing that dawns on me is, wait a minute, this is Colorado. This is kind of hills and dales. And the problem with this, I realize, is the map does show some very thin little blue lines. And I think, wait a minute, flash floods? Rain through these valleys. alleys, these little thin lines can turn dangerous. So at one point, I say, we have some options. By the way, I don't think at this point she's actually talking to me, but I say,
Hell no.
Really?
I say we do have option. One option is to go back.
Yes.
Well, that means going back several hours and then up the switchbacks. That's not going to happen. So we continue to go on. The low point of the walk, I think, is, I thought, the high point, where we come into some abandoned. Funny how that works. Yeah, this is kind of like a Mars and Venus thing, where we see these abandoned railroad cars, and I think, oh good, we have shelter for the night if need be. And I say that, and my problem is I said that out loud. So she says there's no fucking way we're spending the night out here. So it's getting colder and we're dripping, I mean literally dripping wet. And I'm going to make this story a little bit shorter by saying we eventually do find the trailhead. We eventually do. It's about a 5-hour walk. She wanted a 1-hour walk. We've got a 5-hour walk. But we do eventually get...
Now it's almost dark.
It's almost dark.
And nobody knows where we are.
That's true. That's true. But we do get back to the trailhead.
Thank God.
And if only that were the end of it.
And what?
And if only that were the end of the
Oh.
story. It's not.
But
It's
not!
But wait.
Oh wait, there's more. We,
But wait, there's more.
Are
We
you
get-
fucking kidding me?
No.
Mike, what are you
Oh
doing
my
here?
God!
we get to the trailhead. I say, thank goodness. At least we know where we are and how far the car is. Again, I don't think she's talking to me. But we do get to the car. It is now dark. We are freezing. But we get to the car. We get in. We close the door. It's raining. Oh, but did I mention it was raining?
It's pouring.
Yes.
It's pouring. We get back to the car. At this point, the relationship begins to heal again because now we're
I
in
don't
the
remember
car.
that part.
Yeah. And then, out of the blue, and I am not exaggerating this, we're in the dark. There is no cars around. There's nothing around. All of a sudden, I hear, and I look to my left. I kid you not. There is a hooded figure. I cannot see his face. There's a guy. I think it's a guy. There's a person. The hood is pulled over the face such that I can't see the face. And he's knocking on my driver's side window. Holy shit! I really, that's what I thought. I didn't say that, right? Now there's a part of me that is just like, good night, Irene, we're dead. But there's another part of me that's like, wait a minute, you only actually see these things in movies. They don't actually exist. Anyone who's knocking on my window is probably not an axe murderer, because what would an axe murderer be doing at a trailhead in dark in the rain? They don't tend to hang out there, right? So I lower my window about that much, and he says, "Can I get a ride to town?" So I say, I think, you know what? The odds that an axe murderer is in the dark, in the rain, at a trailhead is minuscule.
He's actually justifying his thought process.
So I say the only intelligent thing I can think of. I say, sure, get in back.
Get in the back.
Now I do one thing as a defensive measure. As he's getting on the back, I go around to the back of the car, I lift up the hood. We had been rock hunting, you know, where you have these little hammers and you're chiseling away at the ground, looking for quartz. So I go back to the room and I take out these two hammers and I bring them around and I get on my side and I slide one to her side, one to my side,
Yeah,
thinking,
so he gives me something like this, he goes, we'll be safe.
time he gets in the car, the hood is pulled back. He is a guy. He is in his 60s.
Was he Obi-Wan?
No. But his story, his story anyway, is that he's a retired physician. His retirement is working 40 to 60 hours a week on the Navajo reservation delivering babies. That's his retirement. And for recreation, what he does is he'll leave on a Friday without any maps and start hiking. And most of the time, he finds his way back. And when he doesn't, he always finds someone to take him back to town. It's never failed. And we take him back to town, and he's very thankful. And I tell him, you see, you got to believe in the basic human kindness of people, because 99.9% of the time, you're going to be okay. Especially if you're not talking about, you know, the urban jungle. You're talking about nature. Who's going to be out there? So it was a very, it was a memorable walk, and I don't think we'll ever forget it.
Thank you very much.